Good morning, everyone, and welcome to El Toro Cockerel. It's Jose. It's Sunday morning. It's the 7th of July. Sunday morning here in the UK. Worldwide, some of you are approaching Monday morning. Welcome one and all. As the thumbnail suggests, no news is good news is what we're talking about today. And I would like to welcome in Scott Colliver. Says good evening from Adelaide, Jose in the chat, and then says not sure the no news is good news. We should be signing players as soon as possible. If a player came in too late, then they will miss the pre-season and not be trained to play handball. Johnny Bethnal Green, good morning, my brother. Says good morning, Jose. Good morning, Johnny. I hope you're well, sir. And Peter Kagayas, hi all, 8 p.m. from Melbourne. Audio Artisans here, says morning, Jose in chat. And I've Shentam. Good morning, Shentam. I hope you're well, mate. Good morning, Jose. I hope you're well today. Very proud of my Turkey boys. Played their hearts out and tried, but just couldn't finish the job. Very proud of them. Oh yeah, England won too. Yes, true, true. It's just a reminder to people as well that the membership link is pinned into the chat. I may say this again today. But the membership link, if anyone wants to join, is pinned to the chat. Right. So the reason why I've said no news is good news, it is tongue in cheek. And the reason why I've said that is that, obviously, as Tottenham supporters, we want to make signings and stuff like that. But the no news being good news is a play on words with regards the national teams that have made the semi-finals of the Euros and even the Copa America, which then means that it's good news in the sense that if you're following any of these nations, which a lot of the people are probably following England, it just means that you're in the tournament longer than some other teams. And the downfall is that if we are after any England players from that England squad or that England camp, it just means that you're going to have to wait a little bit longer if you're going to try and prize some of these players away. Contrary to popular belief, there's not many deals that have been done for any players that have been away in the Euros or the Copa America. There's not that many at all. You can look at it. There isn't. Any club. How many clubs have you seen signing players that are away at either of these tournaments? It's not happening from anybody. There's talk, there's chat, there's links, there's watching, there's monitoring, there's appreciating, there's everything like that. All the words that Tottenham use are being used by other clubs, but no one's actually being signed at the moment. So hence why I've said no news is good news. If we go to the actual matches that we've had so far, on Friday night we had Spain Germany. So it was a 5 o'clock game. So that was the first game on Friday night, which Spain beat Germany 2-1. I actually thought for the first time in this tournament, I thought Spain looked a bit leggy against Germany, to be honest, but they got the victory. And then we had, I missed the France-Portugal game because I played football on Friday night, but France drew 0-0 with Portugal, and then France won on penalties. I don't know, I can't really comment too much. It seems to be like both teams nullified themselves and went into extra time, the same as the Spain game that went into extra time. And then yesterday, of course, we had England versus Switzerland, a 1-1 draw, which England then went on to win on penalties. Scored all 5 of their penalties, and their penalties looked really, really good. I actually thought England played better than what they have done in other games. If I'm going to put my English hat on, I'm glad that Luke Shaw's back because it then means that you bring natural balance to the team. It was interesting watching Eze play yesterday because everyone knows what an attacking chap he is and how elegant he is on the ball. And they played him in a kind of hybrid not hybrid left wing back role and number 8. He played like both them kind of positions, and he showed that he's got other feathers to his cap. His defensive play is really good, because England had to defend, and it's not the first time. He's come on a few times now for England and done really well, not in an attacking sense, but more in a defensive sense. So it just shows that he's got a lot more to him, and you can see that in both facets of the game, he would be an asset to anybody. I mean, we hope that's Tottenham, but he can be an asset to absolutely anybody. And then looking at the Ivan Toney penalty, because he's another player that we're linked with. If you look at the Ivan Toney penalty, he's got balls to steal the fella, isn't he? So, to actually not look at the ball at all, he approaches the ball and he never looks down to strike the ball. He looks at the goalkeeper. He looks up, doesn't look down at all, and that must be really hard to take a penalty like that. But it must be great technique. Obviously, he's done it for time after time. But yeah, so England get through to the finals. Or sorry, semi-finals, and then you had the last game was between Holland and Turkey. I felt sorry for Turkey because for me, the minute they gave the ban to Demiral, the Juventus centre back, I thought to myself, that's it. Turkey won't get through this game because Demiral is an absolutely great defender. And seeing that Turkey scored their goal from their other centre half, who came in yesterday and scored the goal through him, imagine if they had corners, free kicks, and Demiral was playing, because Demiral's a monster in the air. And, I just felt that if they had Demiral in the team, Turkey, they would have been more potent both in attack and in defence, because Demiral's their mainstay in defence. In saying that, Turkey have got a really good young side and should be super proud of themselves in the way that they've played the whole of this tournament. They haven't hidden. They've gone out, they've played attacking football, which is really, really, really good. And yeah, good luck to Turkey in the World Cup qualifying campaigns. Um, if they build on what they've done so far, and they carry on with the young team that they've got, then yes, you can see them being in the next World Cup as well. So good on Turkey. I hope they keep with Montella as their manager, because he seems to be building something really, really good at Turkey. So yeah, fair play to the Turks. Um, so that brings to an end the Euros, and where we are with the Euros. But then we look at our Tottenham boys, if you want, um, and you look at the La Copa America. And La Copa America, it's interesting because the games just got tougher here in the Euro quarters. Three of them went to extra time. One went to penalties, and there was a victory as well for Holland yesterday. And it's kind of a similar hit over at the Copa America. Excuse me. Yeah, it's kind of a similar hit at the Copa America, whereby trying to get the results back up again, because I think the first quarter final might have been Argentina. I think Argentina, whoever they played, they drew 0-0, and I think they won on penalties. Um, I think the second game was Canada versus Venezuela, I think it was, and that was a 1-1 draw. And for those that haven't seen it, Jonathan David had an absolute stinker. He missed chance after chance after chance after chance. Um, and Canada have won through on penalties. I think they drew 1-1, and they've won through on penalties. So yeah, Argentina drew 1-1 with Ecuador and won 4-2 on penalties. On Saturday, Venezuela drew 1-1 with Canada. Canada won 4-3 on penalties. And then Argentina played Ecuador and knocked them out. And then yesterday, Colombia beat Panama 5-0. So this is the one that's the same as what I'm just saying about the Euro quarterfinals. One game, two games have gone on to penalties. One game got decided in extra time, and one game was won in normal time. Well, in the Copa America quarterfinals, 3 games have been decided on penalties, and 1 game was decided outright where Colombia beat Panama 5-0. And then early this morning, the result was Brazil drew 0-0 this morning with Uruguay, and Uruguay went on to win 4-2 on penalties. As far as I recollect, I think Douglas Luiz missed. A penalty, and I'm trying to remember who the other boy was. I know Martinelli scored a penalty. I think Pereira scored his penalty, and Eder Militao missed a penalty for Brazil as well. But Uruguay scored all 4 of their penalties, so Uruguay through to the semi-finals, and Bentancur played the last 23 minutes of that game and scored his penalty. So we've now got Mickey van der Ven in the semi-finals of the European Championships with Holland. And in the Copa America, we've got Giovanni Lo Celso and Cuti Romero in the semi-finals of the Copa America, along with Rodrigo Bentancur for Uruguay. So it's interesting. I think it's Argentina play Canada in the semi-final, and Colombia play Uruguay in the other semi-final. So as I said, Brazil are out. So yeah, it's interesting. As I said, no news is good news, meaning in the sense that it means that the nations that you're following will probably have made the semi-finals, which is good on one hat because some people are nationalistic and they want to see their nation do well. And as I said, the majority of people in the chat and the majority of people here are following England, so it's good in that sense. But in the sense of trying to buy players, as I said earlier on, you're not going to get many people being sold that are currently at these championships, and that's the reality of the reality of it. I'm just looking. So on Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, so that's semi-finals. Right. So on Tuesday, the first semi-final is Spain-France on Tuesday evening, and then on Wednesday evening it's the second semi-final, Holland versus England. But then you also got Argentina versus Uruguay. So, sorry, Argentina versus Canada, the final on Wednesday, early hours of the morning. And then you've got the other semi-final between Uruguay and Colombia, which will be on early Wednesday or early Thursday. And then the finals are following Sunday and Monday, I believe. So yeah, we're nearly there, guys. We're nearly there. And then the realness of who you can buy and who you can't buy will probably begin. Saying hello, you got David Shear here. Good morning, David. Good evening to you, David. I hope you're well, sir. I hope you're well. I did message you earlier, and I hope everything goes well with you, my friend. Graham's here. Hello, Graham. How are you, sir? Says morning, Jose. I hope you're well, sir. I am, Graham. I hope you're well and doing well. Thank you. Shentam says, ironic that when I see Spurs players coming into training for the first time, it's almost half the guys that are supposed to leave. We'll talk about that. Carl Simpson, big up, Jose. I hope you're well, mate. I hope you are well as well, Carl. Nice to see you, my friend. Nice to see you. Shentam says, that Brazil Uruguay game was old Uruguay, not the way Bielsa's team have been playing. Brazil without Vinicius looks shockingly bad. James, who loves Spurs, is here saying good evening. Good evening. Where are you, James? Because it's morning. Oh no, he says morning. There he says morning. He's saying good evening to the rest of the people and morning to some people as well. Very thoughtful of you, James. Very thoughtful. And India, Indian Guna says, big up, Jose. India World Cup champions. Yeah, yeah, they are. But I don't know, Indian Guna. I don't know whether you're able to see it, mate. But they're showing the on TNT anyway. They're showing the legends at the moment. The legends matches. So there's 2 matches a day. And yesterday Australia beat England. And I've got a feeling that Pakistan smashed India yesterday. When I was watching it, Pakistan were like 130 or 140 odd for naught in the 11th or 12th over against India. The openers were in and they hadn't lost a wicket, but I don't know how that ended up. But yeah, saying that, so I mean, I ask you yourselves, who's winning? I'll ask you in the chat, who's winning the European Championships, and who's winning the Copa America? So I just want to see, out of interest. I'm not saying that people have been following them or anything, but knowing who's where, and if you've been watching it, who's going to win? Who do you think, in your heart of hearts, who do you think is definitely going to win the European Championships, and who do you believe is going to win the Copa America? Let's see what people in the chat have got to say. And then whilst people are putting their comments in, I just wanted to remind people, hitting a like on the hitting a like on the stream is a good effort if you can do. And also, again, just to remind people that the members link is pinned to the chat. Let me see what we got saying here. So David Shear is saying that he believes Spain will win the Euros, Argentina for the Copa America. Indian Guna is thinking France will win and the Euros, and Argentina will win the Copa America. James, who loves Spurs, says Spain will win the Euros. Carl says England are stinking it all the way and to the title, and Argentina will win the Copa. Scott Colliver says France will win the Euros. And Graham is saying, Jose, Saka and Maino look like England's best players. Gives me confidence our young players like Bergwall and Gray may yet prove that they are more than good enough. Interesting take. Shemtown, Spain and underperforming Argentina. And you've got Spain and Argentina from Spurs GCTV. I think it's going to be a tight call between Argentina and Uruguay. I really do. The games that are being played in the semi-finals, in the Euros especially, in the Euros, I think that you're going to see two really, really tight games, and possibly extra time again in either of those games. Argentina, but when you look at the Copa America, Argentina, you'd like to think should have enough to get past Canada. And then the Uruguay-Colombia game, although I think Uruguay should beat Colombia, I think that could be a tighter game than what people think, especially after they've gone out and won 5-0 as well in the quarterfinals. So that could be another one of those extra time games. But yeah, we'll see. Shentam says that his second choices are Germany and the USA. With the power that we have of YouTube now as well, it means that you're able to see, I mean, some of you already know this, but Tottenham Hotspur came back into training at Hotspur Way or they reported for training on Saturday or Friday even. Saturday. Yeah, they reported back on Saturday for training. So yesterday they reported back, and there's videos doing the rounds at the moment on YouTube. There's one that's a bit longer. There's one that's about 4.5 minutes long, which shows the players arriving and the players being put through some of their steps. Their first time together at Hotspur Way. And I have to keep saying this because my belief is that some of these players, if you look at it, in the season finished for a lot of people at the end of towards the middle of May. Yeah, so I think our last game was either the 17th or the 19th of May. The only people whose seasons finished later than that would have been anyone that was involved in any of the European Cup, European trophy games, i.e. the Champions League, Europa Cup and stuff like that, which Tottenham weren't involved in. And obviously with the the European Championships and the Copa America going on, your players would be away with that. The minute they get knocked out, they probably get 3 weeks off. But with the players that are in the Euros and the players that are in the Copa America, they're still training and whatever with their national team, so they're still being put through their paces. But for the other players that have had 6 to 7 weeks off since the league finished, although it was their first day at Hotspur away yesterday, right? Let's not be fooled that some of these players have probably been training on their own away from Hotspur away, and therefore not let themselves get into a bad shape and stuff like that, because they've been training and they've got their own personal training programs. It means they're not doing intense stuff like you would do once you get back to Tottenham Hotspur away, but they still would have been training of sorts. So, but yesterday was the first time they're all back. There was a list on Twitter that I saw about the players that actually turned up and that were there yesterday. Although some of them weren't pictured. I mean, I was led to believe that Mikey Moore and Donnelly were both there, is what it said on the list. But if I remember rightly, Mikey Moore played in the European Championships after the season finished. Or did he play during? No, he might have played during. Okay, so they're two of the people that we didn't see. I didn't see pictured at all. But I saw quite a lot of the other people pictured. And yeah, it's interesting. With still a few players away. So who was missing yesterday? All the players that were injured towards the end of last season were all there. Werner was there. Good old Werner. A doggy was there. Solomon was there. So some of the players that had been injured towards the end of the season were actually all there for the beginning yesterday, and that can only be good. Regardless of what people may think of some, that can only be good that you've got all players coming back fit and firing. You've got so at the moment, all you've got missing really at the moment is Radu Dragusin, Vicario, Højbjerg are the three that are missing that have gone out of the Euro Championships that were missing. And then you've got the players still there. So you've got Mickey van der Ven and then the three South American boys. And someone made a comment earlier, and it's interesting to see that a lot of the players that are being touted that are leaving the club were all there yesterday. Well, if you're still employed by your employer and you've got to turn up to work, regardless of whether they're looking to sell you or not, as you're a paid employee, you've got to turn up when you're told to turn up. So, and they've got to put them through their paces because they're still their employees. David Shear says, will Kane be fit for England? I'm sure that he always will be. We know that Kane plays when he's unfit because he's done it for Tottenham. So, although saying that, Ivan Toney has got an ego bigger than the whole of London. And with that, he was saying that he's just been waiting for his chance and he's pissed off because he thinks he should have been given his chance by now. And he's got the ball. He's got balls to steal the fella. He's got balls to steal the fella. So yeah, but Kane, we know Kane, whether he's injured or not, Kane always ends up playing anyway. Carl Simpson says, David, I don't even think it's an issue if he's not. We play fast football when Kane isn't on. Get Reguilon out. He was the only one piss farting about. Was he? I thought the one that was really messing about when I watched it yesterday was seemed to be Pedro Porro. He seems to be having a laugh with everybody. Do we give Reggie another chance as Doggy back up next season? Do we give right? It's interesting because it appears on the one hand that Tottenham say we're not going to let you take the piss to teams that are trying to buy the players. So is it Genoa that only bid €6 million for Spence, and Tottenham have told them, go away and we'll tout him at other clubs now. Emerson Royale, that Inter Milan have bid half the price that Tottenham are looking for, and Tottenham said, right, we'll not sell him. So I think it's quite a dicey one. It appears that on the one hand, I don't know, it's brinkmanship, but on the one hand, Tottenham won't sell players for double cheap, right? And they will only take the best prices. It's interesting because, watching watching the Euros like I have been, you have Mickey van der Ven that's been playing left hand side, right? And you've got Mickey van der Ven playing on the left hand side, who looks an absolute beast in that position. And then we've got Radu Dragus in there. So, at the end of the day, it is the triangular, if you want to call it that. Well, you can't call it triangular, but you've got Mickey van der Ven and a doggy there that can play left back and left centre back. And then you've got the spare centre half in Radu Dragusin, who could possibly play there as well if he went out left. I think that Tottenham have got options now. Whether Reguilon fits or doesn't fit remains to be seen. Reguilon as a wing back is far more potent as a wing back, I believe, than what he would be as an inverted fullback. But defensively, I don't think Reguilon is the best. But then I don't think the doggy's the best either. But then he's got to learn. He's got things to learn, hasn't he? So, just wanted to say, Veliz has bulked up. Destiny, what a unit he is. Bergvall looks like a pop star from audio. David Shear says, Porro was there. Bergvall, aka young David Bay, was there with Archie. Yeah, young Archie Gray was there. Just a harmless potato. Hello, Jose, and everyone in chat. Hello, just a harmless potato. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. And look who we've got. We've got Chang. Chang has become a YouTube member. Thank you very much, Chang. That's very, very kind of you. I hope you are well, Chang, you and your family. I'm aware that you've got a bank holiday tomorrow, so I hope everything's well. I mean, if you want, Chang, you're more than welcome to jump on. It's up to you, mate. I know it's late for you, but you've got a day off tomorrow, haven't you? David, I was thinking more like the lead of a boy band. Take that. Carl Simpson says we are one of the only club teams that can't play that with. We are not in debt or desperate to sell. We don't need to take knockoff prices, which is correct. It's true. And look at that, Graham. Graham, thank you very much, sir. Graham has also become a member today. Thank you very much, Graham. So I've got two new members from today's shows, both in Chang and Graham. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for becoming members. And then you've got Mr. Shear saying, help the channel, smash the likes, please. That would be good. So in saying that, right, who are we linked with at the moment? I mean, the links have gone quiet. I understand why. I mean, Desiree Doué's come about and he's doing the rounds at the moment, but people have got to remember that Desiree Doué is currently away, I believe, with the French Olympic squad, football team squad, who Thierry Henry is the manager. So therefore, if that's the case, then if you're going to tie up for a deal for Desiree Doué, that has got to be done soon rather than later. Now, it's interesting because a lot of the aggregators and a lot of the in the knows are talking about Tottenham going for Desiree Doué, right? And this is where you have to take some stuff with a pinch of salt. So you've got some people who you appreciate as in the know people saying that Tottenham are going with Desiree Doué. But then yesterday, what started doing the rounds is that Bayern Munich and PSG are after him, and that Bayern Munich are in pole position. So it's kind of a weird one to look at because, on the one hand, people are saying it's all Tottenham Hotspur and that he's already said yes to Tottenham, appreciates the project, already said yes to Tottenham. It's just a matter of them tying down the deal. And then on the other hand, you've got a load of aggregators now saying it's Bayern and PSG. The one thing that is alarming, and I don't know whether it's alarming or not, because it's Tottenham, but the value for Desiree Doué, right? They're now talking between 40 and 55 million pounds is what some people are talking about the deal being. Bearing in mind that people were saying we could have got this chap for 30 million when we started talking about him, I don't know, a week ago or whatever. Now all of a sudden, people are quoting 40 to 55 million, which is quite a bit of money. And 40 to 55 million is a great, unless you can pay that off in and monetize it into installments, that's quite a chunk of money. Seeing that we spent 30 on Archie Gray, but I don't know, and I don't know how that fee was structured with Leeds, because by all accounts Leeds wanted quite a bit up front, but it's another one we'll have to wait and see. Who else we got? You've got Carl says you can feel the window building. It's going to go nuts as soon as these tournaments are over. Yeah, exactly, Carl. Exactly that. I think we've got more than enough youngsters. I want proven players now. It's interesting, Carl, because if you look at right, it's interesting. It's an interesting comment because you look at. I'm going to go Spain, right? Look at Spain. Spain have got Yamal, Nico Williams, Pedri. I'll include Cucurella in this as well, because he's played well. And you look at that and you think to yourself, bloody hell, they're all really, really young kids. But then you've got Rodri, who's a bit older. Rodri's not old, but he's a bit older, and he's been playing out of his skin and playing really well. And Laporte's played really well. But the youngsters have come to the fore. You look at France versus Portugal the other night. They had that Barcola came on, who's a youngster, played really, really well. You look at England. England had the youngsters yesterday playing really, really well. So yesterday you had Kobe Minu played well. You got Bellingham. You've got to remember a lot of these teams. I'm not comparing. It's not just comparing Spain, Carl. I'm comparing a lot of nations here to say that there's a lot of youngsters that are playing for these nations now that seem to be, playing really, really well. So for me, age is nothing just but a number, because if you're good enough, then you play. Now there is a school of thought that some of the buys that we're making are all youngsters, and people are saying, yeah, they're all young. But if the youngsters are good enough, age is nothing but a number. But it remains to be seen who they end up going for. I mean, with the Dutch yesterday, they had Xavi Simons, that Joshua Zirkzee came on, and they've got other players that play in their team that are quite young. So to me, what I'm trying to say is that you have a mixture. You've got some teams have got lots of youngsters, and some teams have got older players. Yeah, you got the Germans had Wirtz, Musiala, and players like that. There's a lot of young players out there that are very, very good. So age is nothing but a number. But I do understand where people are coming from, where they're saying that that we got to get proven players in. Scott's agreeing with you, Carl. Says no more youngsters. David Shear says Brian Daigle said 25 million plus. Rodon took it to 40 million. I think Rodon went for 10, is what they're saying. I thought he was worth more, but they're saying he went for 10. But anyway, it's by the by. It's just that we need to go out and buy some players. Carl says Jose going to Spain for comparison shot there. Nah, Carl. Like I said, I'm trying to compare all nations. Turkey. I look at Turkey yesterday, and Turkey's team, and Shemtan will probably correct me if I'm right. If I'm wrong, sorry, but Turkey's team are all really well. The majority of their squad and team are really, really young players that have come through, that played in, I don't know, some Euro tournaments before and have come through together. So the core and the nucleus of their team are youngsters. And that's why I said earlier, in my comments, that Turkey played really, really well. Turkey didn't come out and defend in any of their games. Turkey came out to attack the games. And, if they keep their squad together and keep adding it to through the youngsters that they've got, I can see them qualifying for the World Cup next in 2 years' time. So yeah, so as I said, age is nothing but a number. But yeah, it looks like we've bought young, but then Bergvall, see, it's difficult because Bergvall was bought in January. He only came to us now, but he was bought in January. Yeah, he's young. Archie Gray's young, but then we've got a loan with Werner who's 28. So you know, but at the end of the day, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Who do you think in the chat we're going to bring in? Who will Tottenham sign? And how many players do you think Tottenham will sign? Because we've all got our own thoughts. We've all heard what the in the know say and stuff like that. But where do you think Tottenham lie? Um, how many players do you think we're going to buy? And what players do you think that we will get in? We're named with a few. Will it be somebody that we're not named with that we end up getting? Carl says that Bellingham has the ego, is the size of the UK. Just Thomas says Williams, Yamal, Barcola, Vert, and Musiala. Carl says I was only joking. I know, I'm fully aware, Carl. I'm fully aware, mate. You're a good man. You're a good man. David Shear says we do need homegrown. Interesting. So Elise today has arrived an hour ago to undergo a medical in Bayern. Now, let me just say one thing, right? I think that the weather in England has been shockingly shit for a while now, and we are having no summer whatsoever. It's like you got well down here where I am on the south coast. You've got bright sunshine for like 20 minutes, and then all of a sudden it starts sheeting down for 2 hours. Then it goes back to bright sunshine, and then it sheets down for 2 hours again. But the one thing I've noticed in in Germany, is Germany seem to be having really, really bad weather. Um, it seems to be raining there all the time. So obviously, it must be a blanket of crappy weather over Europe at the moment. Because Germany, since these Euros have started, it seems to be really, really bad weather. Because I'm looking at pictures now of Elise taken an hour ago, going to do his medical at Bayern, and he's getting out of a transit coach, and there's just umbrellas everywhere, and you can see the grey, dark clouds all over the shop. So um, that's happening today. Who else we got here? Oh, this is another one. I don't know if you guys have been able to see um, the Bielsa interview that he did a few days ago. Obviously, he's in the Copa America, so this would have been pre the semi-final. And he was talking about um, players watching football, and he said that football is becoming less pleasant to watch because you've got less great players now than what you had before. It's quite an interesting interview. But in a few years, the players who deserve to be watched will be less, is what he says. Um, and the game produced becomes less enjoyable. He gave an absolute barnstormer of an interview. It's well worth watching. It's on LUFC Worldwide. I've got it on at the moment. It's a 2 minute. It's a 2 minute, 3 minute vid. Um, but yeah, it's interesting the comments that he made. Trying to see if there's any Tottenham stuff here because um, it's all about yesterday England obviously, and there's not much else in there about Tottenham. Oh, here we go. These are the people that turned up yesterday. Right, so the people that turned up. Oh, let me just see what we've got. The people that turned up yesterday, who returned for pre-season, were Fraser Forster, Alfie Whiteman, Brandon Austin. Defenders that were there yesterday were Pedro Porro, Jed Spence, Ashley Phillips, Destiny Udogie, Ben Davis, Sergio Reguilon. And the midfielders that were there yesterday were Archie Gray, Lucas Bergvall, Ollie Skip, Pat Matassar, James Madison, Jamie Donnelly, and Yves Basuma. And attackers yesterday were Dejan Kulusevski, Mana Solomon, Brennan Johnson, Brian Hill, Mikey Moore, Richarlison, Alejo Veliz, Dane Scarlett, and Timo Werner. So they're your players that all came back yesterday. David Shear reckons that we're going to buy Eze and Morgan Gibbs-White. I'm not sure about Morgan Gibbs-White, David. I think that ship may have sailed with Forest. I mean, there was news that was coming out, turning around saying that Leicester are definitely going to get penalised points. But Leicester have gone out and sold Dewsbury Hall. Leicester are going out buying players. I don't understand. I don't believe anything I hear anymore about this PSR and FFP. I think it's a load of crap. And I think people are just doing and circumventing the rules and doing what they want. So I'm not believing any of that anymore. That is now, for me, been, gone, done, and dead. Carson says, I think we need 5 more and more gone. Give me Nico Williams absolute quality. Graham says, I did my playing boots out and that will get the average age. I'll dig my playing boots out and that will get the average age up to 63, says Graham. Fantastic. David Shears says it's the first real winter here in years in Australia. Fair enough. Ooh, Australia's normally just hot. The pictures you send to me of Esperance normally, David, they're very lovely, they're picturesque and that. And it seems to be hot all the time. And there's nice sunsets and stuff like that. But you're saying it's now really cold out there. Interesting. Just Harmless Protector says, I've heard it's most rain in Germany since recording started. That's what I'm saying. Every day in Germany seems to be really chucking it down with rain. So obviously, that's what I'm saying. It's not just England then that have had crappy weather. Audio says another 4 to 6 players. Some will be kids though, is what Audio is saying. Shentam, yeah, we have a pretty young team. The oldest is goalkeeper Mert, 35. A few starters are 29, 30 years, but the majority are between 18 to 26. A really good blend if we can keep them together and keep playing. Wayne Bonner, good afternoon to you, Wayne. Oh, good morning to you, Wayne. How are you, sir? Hope you're really well. It's nice to see you here, mate. So Spurs need to prioritize a quality striker, preferably not one with a gambling addiction. Stop buying kids and get experience in to help build a team for now, not 5 years down the line. I think you were talking about Morgan Gibbs White. That's your wish list, David. Okay, fair enough. 10 inches here in the winter, says David Shear. Good morning, Side Dancer. Hi, everyone. I keep seeing us linked with Pedro Neto. Any chance? I think the Pedro, all I've heard, all I've read on Pedro Neto is that he's got that Portuguese agent, isn't he? Nuno Mendes or whatever his name is, who seems to be the super agent for all the Portuguese players that have gone to Wolves, funnily enough. And he seems to be saying that Tottenham have inquired, or he's talking about this. So not the club, so it's not Wolves, but he's actually talking about it, and he's saying that Tottenham have inquired on what kind of money and what kind of deal it would take to take Neto, and that Mendes says that whatever happens, Neto will be moving this summer. And that's coming from the agent, Mendes. I'm not sure whether we dealt with Mendes before. I'm sure we have, because if we bought Nuno Espirito Santo in, it must have been through Mendes that we bought him in. And I think the deals that we did for what's his name? Jedson Fernandez. I think that might have been through Mendes, and the striker that went to Fulham. The striker that went to Fulham, Carlos Vinicius, and I think that might have been another one of his as well. So yeah, it's interesting. Nicholas Collison, good morning. Nicholas Collison says he was Mourinho's agent, maybe. Yeah, and Vinicius, Carlos Vinicius. I think he was. I think he was the agent for some of these people as well. Scott says, I agree. We need a quality striker to help us out. So yeah, looking at this, it's all about it really is all about England at the moment, and no one's talking about Tottenham at all. So the last we heard, it was Doué, Neto. We've got Eze still on the list. We've got Tony still on the list that people are talking about. Napoli have offered Chelsea the opportunity of signing Victor Osimhen, and they've dropped their asking price to 110 million pounds, not euros, pounds. I don't see him going for 100 million anywhere. I've said this all along. I don't even rate him as a 100 million striker. But now they're saying 3 hours ago, saying Chelsea are willing to offer Romelu Lukaku and Cesare Casadei to Napoli to help lower the price of Victor Osimhen, and that's coming through from Team Talk. You guys are going to have to help me out on this for a minute. I did see a comment that someone was saying in their comment that that Dele Alli is. I know he's training at Hotspur Way before anyone kills me. I know he's training with Tottenham or whatever. He has been training there, and that he's now a free agent. And there was talk about Tottenham looking at him to bring him back to Tottenham. Now, I don't know where this has come from, and I don't know whether I'm talking absolute bull here, but I'm sure I saw something along the lines saying that that's what was going to be happening, or that's what's happening with Ali. Is that correct? I ask yourselves. So Wolves, who were meant to be in a lot of peril with FFP, according to a publication today, Wolves' interest in Borussia Mönchengladbach defender Nico Elvedi has been backed up by the Bild in Germany today. The Swiss defender is said to be on Wolves' list, the 27-year-old having a 10 million release clause. So Wolves, who are in trouble, Wolves are in trouble is now buying players, and they've bought a few now. Scott Colliver says, I agree with you. I just read that one, didn't I? David Shear says, all right, thank you, Wayne. I ain't a fan of Tony for the same reason either. Scott Colliver is saying, us to turn possession into goals. Audio is saying, I heard a potential short-term deal, maybe. This is Dele Alli. And then you've got Christopher Inshaw. Hi, Christopher. Says, yes, that is true. Dave Shear says, Dyche also said he wants him first team at Everton, according to Brian and Dave, the roadman. Carl Simpson says, yeah, they sold Kilmer for 40 million and buy for 10 million. Nice 30 million profit. Yeah, but Carl, it's not just the one defender. They've bought other players as well. They've bought a winger from Brazil, I think, as well. And they bought another player. So they've already bought. This is like, if this is another player, this will be at least 3 signings they've made. And what I'm trying to understand is that, well, no, I'm not trying to understand anymore because I'm giving up now. But FFP was meant to be something. So was PSR. And Wolves are one of these people in teams in trouble. Forest are in trouble. All these teams that are in trouble seem to be buying, selling players at will. So I don't believe in this PSR FFP crap anymore. Side Dancer is saying what I heard was Angel's going to watch Delhi pre-season in training, right? And Carl Simpson says it's because they reckon Spurs are going to come in for Neto. Well, someone's going to. Well, according to his agent, Carl, someone's going to definitely go. Neto's definitely moving, isn't he? It's interesting because there's comments here about James Rodriguez. He didn't do it in the Premiership at all. Didn't play well, or didn't do it here at all. But they're all saying that he's cutting it for in the Copa America. I wouldn't give him a chance. I wouldn't buy him at Tottenham anyway. So sorry, I'm just looking to see if there's any further news. Who we got here? That's a nice penalty. Benton caused penalty. It's a lovely penalty. Yeah, lovely penalty scored. And the other thing, what about people talking about other people? Uh, Donny van der Beek. Donny van der Beek. Now this is where you. I think Girona have got something to do with Ineos because Donny van der Beek, according to Spanish reports and some Man United channels here, Donny van der Beek is being sold to Girona in Spain. So Girona are the team that finished third in La Liga last year, which was a total surprise. Played good football. Um, Team that's been brought together, banded together, have qualified for the Champions League. But Donny van der Beek is signing for Girona for £500,000. £500,000. I don't know what they paid Ajax for him, but Donny van der Beek, when we played Ajax, when we beat them in the 2018 games, Donny van der Beek, you got Matthias de Ligt and all these type of players that were really good at the time. I mean, Matthias de Ligt for me was a Rolls Royce of a defender when he was playing for Ajax. I'm not going to say that he's been great since he's left there, but um, it appears Man United are looking to sign him for 42, 43 million pounds, which to me is a steal. If he still retains any of the ability that he had at Ajax, it's a complete steal. But Van der Beek going for £500,000 to Girona is absolute madness. Absolute madness. That's a big hit. Now we talk about Tottenham taking hits on players. That's a big hit as well. So Audio reckons it was about £35 million. So that's a £35 million hit on a player who's hardly played since he's gone to Man United. Wayne Bonner, with Dele Alli, it comes down to his mentality and focus. If he can back on track and Ange can get him back or near his best as a free agent, I'd take a punt. Um, and David says Newcastle looking to sell Botman. I'm not Newcastle, David. I don't believe any of this PSR crappy anymore because Newcastle was looking to sell all these different players, but they're buying players as well. So I mean, they sold the young boy Minte, who's hardly ever touched the football for Newcastle, and they sold him for 33 million to Brighton. The other thing I was going to say is, did people notice that Brighton have signed? Oh, what's his name? Brighton have signed a really good youngster. Wiffer, I think his name was. A really good youngster that was being touted, was being looked at in Germany. And they've ended up selling him, or buying him, sorry, for 30 odd million pounds. So Brighton are doing bits and pieces in the background with their very young manager. Wayne Bonner says Van den Beek should have gone to United. He's been wasted there. We should have gone for him. I'd still go for him now. Interesting. Um, Calafiori, who was one that Tottenham were interested in, apparently. It says Arsenal have yet to meet Bologna's 42.3 million asking price for Italy defender Riccardo Calafiori, and talks between the two clubs are continuing. That's coming from Football Italia. It's all gone quiet on John Claire Todibo as well. Todibo obviously couldn't get signed by Man United because they couldn't do the dodgy dealings that they wanted to through Ineos. But Todibo, I think West Ham bid 25 million for him, and that was turned down. Now, seeing that we were linked with Todibo last year and people were quoting 50 to 60 million, then going in at £25 million West Ham and being refused doesn't surprise me. Do you think, and I'm not sure, do you think that Tottenham are watching him to see what kind of price point would be accepted, and then we might jump in on the deal at that stage? Don't know. I'm just thinking because obviously he was on our radar last year, but we plumped for Van der Ven. And a lot of people are going to turn around and say, it's because of the price. It's because of the price. It's not because of anything else, but just the price. Now, if that's the case and 25 has been turned down, then if, I don't know, let's say West Ham bid 30 million and that was acceptable, do you think Tottenham will then enter the fray if it's someone they've scouted for a whole year? I don't know. It's one to watch, I think. This is the Marcelo Bielsa comments that I was discussing earlier. It says, he says, should I say, these are some of the comments that he made. He said, football has more and more spectators, but it's becoming less and less attractive. What made this game the best game in the world at the time is not prioritized today. Then this process will be finished. No matter how many people watch football, if you don't ensure that what people is watching is pleasant, it will only benefit the business. Because the business only cares about how many people watch it. But in a few years, the players who deserve to be watched will be less, and the game produced becomes less enjoyable. This current artificial increase in spectators will end. Football is not just 5 minutes of highlights. Football is more than that. It's cultural expression. It's a way of identification. Strong words there from Marcelo Bielsa. What do you guys think of that? I think he's bang on the money, to be brutally honest. Graham says, Jose, I'm sure we're pretty many deals as the dominoes fall. I think you will see us act. I'm not doubting this, Graham. I'm not doubting it at all. I think things are gonna. I think things will happen for many, many clubs. Um, but what it tells me is that because there's a lot of let's put it this way, there's a lot of players that didn't get selected for their nations to go and play in the European Championships or the Copa America. So if we looked at England just as a hustle, right? You got players like Grealish and Rashford that didn't go with England, right? You can. I'm not saying Tottenham need to go for these players, but you got Harry Maguire who didn't go with England. So you've got players that didn't get selected by the national squads. That if there was going to be any movement and stuff like that, you could actually deal with for these players at the moment, and just nothing's happened. So it must be. You'd like to think then that a lot of the players that are involved in any of the in the transfer dealings have got to be players that are currently playing at the championships, whether it be the Copa America or the European Championship, because none of these other players are being looked at or talked about. Um, Johnny Bethnal Green says on Bielsa, strong words and the truth from Bielsa. Yeah, I totally agree. They are very poignant words. Side Dancer says Mickey had a good game last night, saved the Netherlands a couple of times. Um, and David says as soon as the Copa and the Euros, yeah, will end. Yeah, and that's what we're thinking. I think as soon as that all them two tournaments end, you start seeing things happen. Although the players do go away, or they get given up to 3 weeks off. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. Trying to see if there's anything more. Who else you got here? I mean, Desiree Doué. The more I see of him, the more he looks like an absolute footballer. And I thought he was anyway, but he looks even more. The more that I see him play. Let me have a look. Who we got here? Sharky. We've got some of you will love this. You've got a Twitter account called Lily White Aussies, and they're claiming, with many reports saying we are choosing any two of Doué, Eze, and Neto. I will be interested to see what the end result is. I reckon Doué will be confirmed very soon. Neto will be difficult to not have to overpay, but for Eze's release clause, it's a big lump sum. It's a tough choice. In all honesty, if Tottenham were to, and I'm don't have to go with me on this. But if Tottenham were to sign Doué, Eze, Neto, and a striker, maybe someone like a Tony or someone, and a striker, right? I would then be really happy with the window. And if we could jump in and get one more player in, like a Tadiba, and that'd be the cream on the top for me. I'd be happy with that transfer window. Doué, Eze, Neto, striker, and then if you really need to, then get a one more centre back. Then I'd be really happy. Chiesa has been mentioned. Yeah, do as Graham says. Smash the likes up, folks. That'd be great. And David says that Chiesa has been mentioned. Yes, he has. And just a reminder to everyone, the membership link is pinned to the channel. So if people would like to become members, it's pinned to the channel. Right, with Chiesa, right, don't know how true it is, David, but a lot of the channels, sorry, a lot of the in the knows are saying that Juventus are quite happy to release Chiesa and that they're looking for 25 million for him. There must be a reason, I would say, that Juventus are letting him go and to be accepting 25 million. Is Chiesa a good player? Yes, he really is a good player. Really, really is a good player. But I'm not sure whether that's accurate or not, because Chiesa at 25 million, I would have thought that if everything was even and there was nothing wrong with this at all, I think you'd have many, 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 many a club jumping on the bandwagon at 25 million. But I mean, who knows? We might be looking at him, and we're not saying nothing to nobody that we're looking at him, trying to keep the wolves away from the door. But yeah, 25 million seems to be an absolute steal for him. Manchester City are increasingly concerned that they will lose Ederson to the Saudi Pro League this summer. So you've got that coming out there as well, that they reckon that he may go. Or 11 minutes ago. Okay, right. So 11 minutes ago, Italy Focus are saying Juventus and Roma have reached an agreement on the transfer of Chiesa for 20 million euros. That's coming through now. That was tweeted 11 minutes ago, that Juventus and Roma have reached an agreement on the transfer of Chiesa for 20 million euros. So if that's the case, then that's one that's out of the window. So Roma looks like they've bid for 20 million. It's been accepted. Ronnie, Chiesa's not as good as he was. Would stay well clear of him. Ooh, Ronnie's one that would stay away from him. But it looks like someone hasn't stayed away, and someone has now bought him. Right, Brighton are interested in Ferdi Kadagoglu, 24 from Fenerbahce. So this is what I'm saying. They seem to be doing their bits and pieces, Brighton, on the quiet. The one player I'm going to ask you lot in the chat. Did you lot in the chat, if you watched the Holland-Turkey game yesterday, and it's not just the Holland-Turkey game yesterday, but throughout the tournament so far, what do people think of Yilmaz? Yilmaz of Turkey. In a hype, spoke about Yilmaz ages ago and said that he was a player that he'd been scouting and he thinks that he's really good, fit the system that Tottenham play. What do people think on Yilmaz? I watched him play yesterday, and he had both the centre halves and whoever he played against, he had them all on toast, man. He's so quick, hustle bustle. He had them all on toast. He looked a really, really good player, and I think Yilmaz actually plays his football. I think Yilmaz actually plays his football out for Galatasaray. And he's looked the whole of this tournament. He looked a really good player and a right handful. So just interested to see what people thought. I think Turkey have got some really good upcoming youngsters in their team. I really do, and I've said this before at the start of the show. And I think that we would do well by looking at some of these. Isn't City with ongoing hassles, Jose? Yeah, that's quite funny. Audio Artisan says, "What's the latest on Dani Olmo?" I think Dani Olmo's got a release fee clause at, where is it, Leipzig, and I think he's got a release fee clause. And I think if people pop it, then he'll probably move on. The interesting fact about Olmo, right? If people didn't really know, obviously Olmo's Spanish. Olmo has never played professional football in Spain. Olmo left and went to play for Dynamo Zagreb, right, and played there before he was snapped up by Leipzig. So Olmo's played all his career away from Spain, which is quite interesting. You would have thought. I mean, I don't know whether they have or not, but you thought that maybe some of the Spanish clubs might be in for him. Who knows? But they haven't, as far as I'm aware. But it's interesting. He's always played away. On Yilmaz, Graham says he's been very good. Jose. Audio says Gula would fit the system nicely. Gula would, but Gula would cost you an arm and a leg. He's only 19. He's at Real Madrid, and his stock has only gone through the roof since he's been at the Euros. The interesting thing about Gula is where you've got Bellingham who's flourished at Madrid. Gula doesn't play that often at all. Gula is deemed to be a reserve player, if you like. He's not even a sub because when they come up, when you when you fill your pitch up with your 5 substitutes, like your finishers, as I keep calling them, like in rugby, Gula's not one of them 5. But if they've got to rest players, like because they're playing in the in La Copa, right? If they're playing in the Spanish Cup or they're playing in, I don't know, they've played in Europe and they've got to rest players and they put out a second team, like a second 11 type thing. Gula then plays, but he doesn't play as one of the finishers that comes off the bench of the 5 substitutes. He doesn't play hardly at all for Madrid. So whether it's his age and he hasn't been getting on, he's learning and stuff like that, I don't know. Whether he's learning the language, I don't know. But he's not getting as much game time as you would think. But then in his positions, so when you've got the front 3 or the 3 in his positions, and you've got Bellingham, Vinicius Junior, and Rodrigo, then you can see why he doesn't fit them 3. But then they've now got Mbappe to add to that as well for next season. So it'd be interesting to see what happens with Gula. Does Gula do what Odegaard done? Because Odegaard was at Madrid as well, and Odegaard was there when he was younger, like younger than Gula. But Odegaard was there, and Odegaard left Madrid because he wasn't going to be given the chances. So Gula's got a decision to make. Um, I'd understand whether if Madrid had an aging team, and the Gula would be the next cab off the rank coming in. But the fact is, Madrid have got a very young team. They haven't got an old side, have they, Madrid? They've got a very young squad because you look at their midfield, they've got Camavinga, they've got Tchouameni, they've got Valverde. So it's not as if they've got an aging squad. They've got quite a few young uns coming through. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens with Gula. But yeah, he's a good player, but then I also think his fee would be a I'm really sorry about that. I don't know what happened there, but it threw me out completely. Oh, I'm really sorry. I'm hoping that I haven't lost people because well, I have lost a couple. Um, yeah, I really don't know what happened there. I'm really sorry, guys. I don't know what happened there at all. Um, shit, lost my train of thought. What was you talking about? Right. So, yeah, Spurs VCTV, I think he's talking about Yilmaz saying quick and he's a big unit. That Gokaris has been banded a bit. Yeah, Gokaris has, but Gokaris is going to cost you. Like, Sporting ain't letting him go cheap. Sporting will let him go at a big, 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 big inflated cost, which means that they make a huge, huge, huge profit on him. So there's talk about letting him go for 80 million, which is interesting because he played for Coventry in the Championship last year. No one looked at him at all. Sporting took the punt, and now, yeah, the rest is history. And this is what I'm with Tottenham. What people are saying is this is the type of thing that Tottenham are accused of players going to other clubs, right? And that we didn't go for them. And then when you end up wanting to go for them, they end up costing you an arm and a leg. Well, someone like Archie Gray, just saying, putting it out there, before I get shot, someone like Archie Gray, we've bought him in for 25, 30 million or whatever. Who's to say that in a few years' time he ain't worth 70, 80 million? You know, and what we've done, we've actually acted before he gets to the 70, 80 million stage and bought him in now. But it remains to be seen. Audio says, I thought Hadji-san looked good from what I saw of him, but he was crap in La Liga last season, apparently. He looks good in certain games, Audio, and then he looks lightweight in others. So he might be a person that he suits a different league better. I'm not sure. So this is me asking Australia. I was told I was frozen. We want you to come back. Looking at Berbatov, Graham says Jose's gone to put fresh hamster in the wheel to power the internet. Change the mice out on the wheel. And then Wayne says, just like magic, Jose reappears. Yeah, I'm really sorry. I don't know what happened there, lads. I don't know what happened there. Right. There was a comment that came in just now that I saw on my phone on Twitter, and I'm just trying to see what it was. Oh, here we go. It wasn't last word on Spurs. Where was it? Because it was something that came out just now, and it was out on my phone. I'm trying to see if I can find it. Yeah. So when I was talking about Desiree Doué earlier, it says here Bayern and PSG are the main favourites to sign Desiree Doué at the moment. Bayern are slightly ahead, but Paris are still in the race. Nothing done yet. But this has come from an Abdallah Bulma, which is not one of the tier one sources. Um, the tier one sources seem to say that it's going to be a case of Tottenham um, looking to make a bid and possibly bring him in this week. So, in all honesty, what I'm going to say is I know that the championships don't finish till next weekend. We've got another week of this. You've got the semi-finals we played during this midweek in both La Copa and in the Euro champs, right? But the finals are both the finals will be next weekend. If players are not at these championships, I can see that if Tottenham are serious, Tottenham might be able to make 2 signings by the end of next weekend. I don't know how many outgoings, but there's a possibility they could make 2 signings by the end of next weekend. And Doué could be one of them. And I'm going to say Neto could be another. If we're serious, it could be that we do a double on them two and we pull the triggers next week. Pranvat, it's been a long time, mate. It's good morning to you, Pranvat. It's about 5:45, I think, for you in the morning, or 6 o'clock in the morning. I hope you're well, Pranvat. Very early for you, mate. Very early for you. Trying to see if it's coming through. I said on a show a while ago as well that the Saudis said that their mantra for this season for their signings would be that they were going to look for youngsters to sign, right? They were going to look for youngsters to sign rather than getting all the older experience like they did last year, and they were going to concentrate on younger people. The only older players that they would go for and would pay big for would have been the likes of Heung-min Son and Mo Salah this summer. But other than that, they were looking to go down the younger route. Now, there was talk about Arthur Tiate, who is, for the people who don't know, is Belgium's left back. And he's only 23. And Al Ittihad were looking to sign him, right, which shows that they're going for younger players. But it now appears, it says now that Fabrizio Romano has just broken that Arthur Tiate's move to Al Ittihad is on the verge of collapsing. The Belgian defender completed his medical test for Al Ittihad in Paris, and contracts were under review, all set to sign. Internal complications at the club have blocked the deal. So, do we think the Saudis are going to come in for Richarlison? That's another thing I'm going to ask. Richarlison is not old because he's not in the 30 pluses like the deals that they did last year when they were going for um, Benzema and players like that. Um, the other thing is you've got quite a few of them that are out in Saudi at the moment that are actually playing for their nation that they've played for their nations in the Euro Championships and maybe in the Copa America. So you've got players. Oh, I can't remember his name. Is it Neves? His name? Yeah, Neves, who was at Wolves, who went to Saudi. Oh, okay, he's not a starter for Portugal, but he was playing, right? You got Kante, who's been absolutely brilliant for France. He's been their player of the tournament so far. He's the one that's kept France going, and he's another one that's out in Saudi as well. So you've got some of these players that went to Saudi last year, and yeah, they went there for the money. We know this already, but could there be? I mean, we've not heard anything because the transfer market hasn't started yet. And as Graham says, and I've said before, the domino effect will start. Can you see some players from Saudi coming back to Europe this season? I mean, I'm still looking, and I'm not saying for Tottenham here. I'm just talking in general. So someone like Frank Kessié, who ended up going for something like 12 million euros. It might cost a little bit more than that to come back to Europe. But there's players, like I said, the Neves, you got Kante, who Kante's 32 now, but he's an absolute diamond. Kante looks like he can play the game till he's 40. But he's really good at what he does, and he's probably more energetic than most of these youngsters that play. But can you see players coming back from Saudi, coming back to play in Europe and even here in England? Right, this is one that I saw yesterday. So Tottenham are pursuing a deal for the 19-year-old Lecce left-back, Patrick Dorgu. The teenager was a standout performer for Lecce last season, making 33 Serie A appearances and scoring 2 goals. And this is on to the lane and back, but it was retweeted from scouts attending at it. Justin, Tottenham have inquired about over signing Pedro Neto. Spurs want to know the terms required to sign him from Wolves. Agent George Mendes is confident the winger will secure a move away this summer, and this has come broken from. It's on last word on Spurs, but it's broken from Dean Jones Soccer. And look who we've got. Afternoon, Drula says afternoon, Jose in chat. Hi, Drula. It's been a while. I hope you and the family are well. Corriere dello Sport are saying that Alvaro Morata is weighing up whether to join AC Milan with a 31-year-old, having said that he would stay at Atletico until he won something for them. Morata at 31. He's Dan Coyes is not here today, but Dan Coyes says Spain ain't going to get nowhere with Morata up front. And I said to Dan Coyes, Spain score goals from all over the pitch. They don't just need Morata. And contrary, the referee in the Spain, which referee went mad? Yeah, so the referee in the Spain Germany game, he gave out so many yellow cards. So many yellow cards. He was giving them out for, like confetti. And I don't know whether he ended up breaking the record. I'll have to look at that because I didn't bother looking at it, did I, the other day? But I think he might have ended up breaking the record of the amount of cards that he issued in that game. All right, let's see what his stats are. How many cards did he give? They probably missed out on the amount of cards because right, live reporting. Here we go. It doesn't say that how many right. It doesn't say how many cards he gave out. Right, okay. So he's given 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. Germany received 8 yellow cards. One for Raum, Rudiger, Kroos, Andrich, Millerstadt, Schotterbeck, Undav, and Wirtz. So they got 8. Spain got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and a red card. So Spain got one for the goalkeeper. Simon, Robin Lenormand, Carvajal got a yellow, then a red. Ruiz got a yellow. Rodri got a yellow. And Ferran Torres. So that's 14 yellow cards and 1 red. And I'm sure that he also gave people on the bench cards as well. So 14 yellows. 14 yellows and a red in a game that wasn't ill-tempered at all. It's just madness. I felt that the referee in the England game, I thought he was quite good in the set. And the referee in the Spain Germany game was English, weren't it? Yeah, he was an English referee because I think there was English referees for the first 2 games on Friday. The referee in the England game yesterday, he did quite well. I've got to be fair because when I looked at England yesterday, there were players. That were on, especially in England's side. There was players that would have missed the. I think England came in with 4 players on yellow cards, and had they got a yellow card yesterday, they would have missed the semi-finals if they'd got there. And the chap did really well because he hardly gave any yellow cards out. In fact, he gave 3 yellow cards in the whole game. So you had one for Fabian Schär, who I thought was lucky to stay on the pitch, and you had one for Vidma, and the only yellow card for England was to Harry Kane. But you had players. I know that Bellingham. I think Bellingham, Foden, and I can't remember the other 2 were. But there's 4 starters that were carrying yellow cards. So he's done well not to give the yellow cards out. So England get a full bill of health for their next game, the next semi-final match. So he's done really well there. Right, let's have a look if we can find it from here. Let me see if I can see it from here. Search it. Right, this is the easiest way to search it. Right, let's see what the latest plugs are. Here we go. Done that one. Right, here he goes. Right, so this is broken a few minutes ago. This is the one that I was looking for. It says, Justin, the operation to take Emerson Royale from Tottenham Hotspur to AC Milan has entered the key moment. Milan have already made a lot of progress in convincing Spurs to lower their initial 30 million request, with the Italian club insistent to bring the valuation down to 18 to 20 million or 15 million plus bonuses. Spurs are ready to listen within the next few hours, pivotal to concluding the transfer. And that's come from Gazzetta Italia. Gazzetta Italia have broken that, and last word of the Spurs have just retweeted that out. This Dean Jones soccer has got a lot of tweeting to do. Tottenham Hotspur have been in contact with Eberechi Eze. The player is open to a transfer this summer. Spurs are not opposed to spending big on targets they consider the right player. Well, that's good to hear stuff like that. But then what you want is you want us to pull the trigger and probably get some of these players in. Who's this one? So yeah, you've got again. It says Pedro Neto and Spurs. He is one of the names they have on the list. Neto for sure. The only doubt has always been on injuries. So that is the point to clarify on Pedro Neto. But he's one of the players that they appreciate. I've already talked about the Patrick Dogu, 19-year-old left back that they're apparently tracing as well. Oh, news about Jaffet, yeah. Former Tottenham Hotspur defender Jaffet Tanganga is set to sign a permanent deal with Millwall after the expiration of his Spurs contract. The very best of luck to Jaffet Tanganga. I think that this has been updated because I think this was out yesterday morning, but I'm led to believe that Tanganga has signed a 2-year deal with Millwall. So he's actually become a Millwall player on a 2-year deal. You also have you've got, while Tottenham are not believed to be willing to sell Jamie Donnelly, Luton Town are very keen on taking him on loan, with fellow Championship sides Oxford United and Bristol City also circling. Their local rivals, Bristol Rovers, have also believed to have an interest with the former Spurs assistant manager Chris Davies. He expects to keep an eye on matters with his new club, Birmingham City, after being impressed by Donnelly last season at North London club. Donnelly's set to work with Postecoglou in the first team from this weekend onwards as they return from pre-season at Hotspur Way, and the teenager is expected to be involved in the coming friendlies and could be taken on Tottenham's upcoming summer tour to Japan and South Korea at the end of July. You've got Tottenham Hotspur are interested in signing Ryan Cherchi from Lyon. While still far from the finished product, Cherchi has made a big big progress since the appointment of Pierre Sage as Lyon's head coach, and that's coming from the Football League world. So yeah, it's quite a bit of news. It's quite a bit of news, but no signings as yet. Man City and Man United have made offers to Mikey Moore. Moore has agreed his first professional deal with Tottenham Hotspur, but won't sign it until his 17th birthday. So it's not locked down just as yet. So basically, Mikey Moore's agreed to stay at Tottenham and sign his first professional contract with Tottenham, but can't sign it till 17 years old, which is his birthday. His 17th birthday is coming up very soon. But in the meantime, others have put bids in for him. Tottenham Hotspur are understood to be keen to sign a forward as their next big transfer after securing Archie Gray's signature from Leeds United earlier this week. And that's coming from Nizar Kinsella through BBC Sport. That's the same one as I said a few weeks ago. Right, on the 4th of July, so that would have been Independence Day and voting day. It said that Tottenham Hotspur head coach Ange Postecoglou wants a couple of new faces within the next 2 to 3 weeks. Spurs' new coaching staff will meet tomorrow with players for the testing Saturday and then training on Sunday. And then it gets older and older. So therefore, with that, yeah, the stuff gets older. So yeah, it's basically the same faces, same names that we're being linked with. Same stories are coming out. Nothing new's coming out at the moment, which is not unexpected. Romano has now tweeted 14 seconds ago. AC Milan are prepared to send a new bid to Spurs for Emerson Royale as they hope to get the deal done next week. Proposal will be in excess of 15 million euros. Talks between the clubs to continue. Emerson wants Milan move. As revealed in May, he's already agreed a 5-year contract. The thing with this, I mean, I don't know because I'm not part of the people that make these deals happen. But if Tottenham are looking for 20 million pounds for him, 50 million, 15 million euros is it's about 13 million pounds. That's 7 million off, and then you're going to add add-ons. Will your add-ons reach the 20 million? I don't know. I mean, it's decisions for Tottenham to make on that. But it's the same as the Genoa deal as well with Jed Spence. It seems to be that these people are just saying they haven't got any money. So, but whatever, it remains to be seen what happens. Who else we got here? We got anything else coming through? No, it doesn't look like we have. No, there's nothing else coming through. That's where we seem to be at the moment. So um, it's difficult because if you're looking at the squad and at the players that you think may not be here for next season, um, you've got players that you think that we need to move on and get rid of. Some of these players have just finished tournament football and therefore are off or are still involved in tournament football. So with that, I'm talking about if Lo Celso is one that's looking to be sold, he's still involved in the Copa America. Um, if you're looking at Højbjerg, is one of the ones that's going to be sold. He's only just finished playing last week for Denmark. Um, a lot of the players that returned to Hotspur Way yesterday are players that are rumoured to be leaving. And as I previously said in the start of the show, you can't just get rid of these players because they are part of they're your employees. And as an employer, you just can't oust them and put them in, put Johnny in the corner. You can't do that. You've got to carry on because they are your employees. And with your employees, until they're no longer your employees, then you need to look after them. So, hence why the players have all come back for pre-season yesterday, all getting their measurements and to see where they are at the start of the season and what they got to do going forward in pre-season in order for weight losses, muscle gains, and stuff like that. And to get them into 100% good stead, whether it be that they remain at Tottenham or whether it be that they do get sold on. Drew was saying Royal in the final stages. Royal is just where I've just read Drula is that Tottenham I think initially were looking for £20 million for him, and that they've believed that the clubs are lowballing in the offers or AC Milan have lowballed in the offer, and it remains to be seen whether a deal can be done at somewhere near the 20 mark, but it won't get to 20 is what the belief is of the deal at the moment. But whatever happens, Tottenham will do whatever they feel is right. And that's with all the players that they're trying to get rid of as well, and players that they're trying to bring in. Um, but yeah, there's not much more coming out on the Tottenham front. But I do hope that we do sign a couple of players before the end of next weekend, before the finals. So regardless of what happens in the semi-finals, before the finals next week, I'm hoping that Tottenham might be able to make a couple of signings. And the two players I'm going to plump my hat on, because I've got nobody else to say, is I'm going to plump on Doué and Neto. I'm going to say they're the two that if you've got a possibility of signing them before the end of next week, I'm going to say them two because I've got nobody else to go on because there's been no fresh leads on anybody else at the moment. All the others, if we're after an Eze, if we're after a Tony and people like that, then this is not going to happen realistically. Ain't going to happen until we get out of until the two competitions are finished. So yeah, so that's where we are with that. Right. With that, I'm going to thank everybody for being in the chat today. It's been a pleasure having you all, and it's been a pleasure reading out all your comments again. Big thank you goes out to Chan, who became a member today, and to Graham, who became a member today. Thank you very much for your support, lads. It's much appreciated. And David says to me, we've had new additions into the coaches. Yeah, we have got two fellas that have come from Hibs, who were previously at Hibs, and you're going to have people turn around. And the reason why not many people have said much about this, David, is because people turn around and say, well, they got relegated or they did a really poor job at Hibs. They were sacked, blah, blah, blah. And therefore, Tottenham, they haven't brought people in that are going to move us on. And that. At the end of the day, coaches are coaches. Postecoglou's chosen them. They've come in. We need to run with it. So, at the end of the day, I've not said much about it because there's a lot of hate there's a lot of hate and there's a lot of negativity that goes around with the players, with the two chaps that we've brought in. So hence I'm not giving it much airtime because that's what they say. Yes, so Nick Montgomery and Sergio Raimundo. You're right, Drula. But like I said, a lot of people are so negative about their previous time at Hibs that I've not really said much about it at all because that's the way people are. But like I said, thank you very much to everyone. Thank you for the two guys that became members today, YouTube members. Thanks for those that have become YouTube members before them as well. And I will be back on during the week, whether it be myself or whether I'll be on another show. I'll definitely do some shows myself this week. So, at the end of the day, we'll carry on. Let's see what Tottenham brings us this week, and yeah, let's see what happens this week. I'm hoping that we might be able to get a couple of signings done by next weekend. Like I said, before the finals finish, I'm hoping that we can get some outgoings done as well. But the fact is, the market is so quiet and has been quiet since the championships have started, and both the finals are next weekend. And the domino effect we're hoping will start after, because it's not just Tottenham, it's all teams that haven't been going out there buying everyone. So yeah, we'll wait and see. But as always, it's in Ange we trust, and come on, you Spurs.